Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we are going to be doing a quick tip tactica, looking at a cool combination that I think a lot of guard players are going to be interested in. If you're an old grognard like me, you'll remember the veteran squads of yesteryear, a fantastic guard infantry choice, which sadly did not make it into the 9th edition or 10th edition guard codexes. Well, gather round all you greenhorns and listen up all you longbeards, because I'm about to tell you that veteran squads are back. You can recreate them in all of their former glory, and I genuinely think this might be a good tactic on the tabletop. And with that bold statement made, let's not mess around any further. Let's fix bayonets and charge right into this thing. First things first, let's define and remind ourselves what veteran squads were in older editions. Essentially, they were a unit that sat between your guardsmen and your elite infantry like Kazakin and Scions. This translated onto the tabletop into a 10-man guard squad that had access to lots of special weapons and had a better ballistic skill, but who didn't have a good armor save. They were still just rocking your basic flak armor and a 5+ save. And they were a troop choice, which in today's lingo means that they were battle line. So you could get loads of them, and your basic troops, your battle line infantry, could actually punch well above their weight, and you could run a truly elite army from top to bottom. You didn't have to take a bunch of guardsmen which needed a load of support to try and do anything. Every infantryman in your army could handle themselves. If you've never heard of veterans before, you might be thinking, that sounds great. That sounds exactly like what I need. I don't want a bunch of crappy guardsman squads running around. Even if they're in big blobs, I actually want a more nimble, a more mobile, a more dynamic force. Well, unfortunately, veteran squads went away. That's because GW doesn't sell models for veterans. In fact, if you go back to the old 3rd edition and 4th edition codexes, GW outright stated they were never going to make models for them, and instead they were there to encourage players to kit bash and to really come up with their own unique veteran squads. Unfortunately, we ain't in 3rd and 4th edition anymore, and old GW is very different to new GW, and so no box means no models, means no rules. And so veteran squads, it didn't make the cut. But mourn not, my dear conscripts, because I, Mordian Glory, is here to share with you how you can create the veteran squads of old. And I think this is a genuinely good tactic, and I think that a lot of guard players are actually going to use these things. But I have to be honest with you guys, this isn't my idea, and I've got to give credit where credit is due. So a big shout out to MG member Trooper number 2102 is an all-round pillar of the community and great guy, because it was him that kind of came up with this idea and we deep dived it together on a live stream. So huge shout out to him. He deserves all the credit for this. So Mordian, how do you build a veteran squad? What is the intricate nature and the crazy arcane technology that you've had to put together to unlock this combo? Well, actually, it's really straightforward. Take a command squad and add it to a squad. That's it. Take a Canadian command squad, add it to a shock troop unit. Take a Death Corps Kree command squad, add it to a Death Corps unit. Take a Catachan command squad, add it to a Catachan unit. Now you might be like, Mordian, that's not a combo. Bear with me and let's deep dive this unit. So prevailing wisdom at the moment is to take a big 20-man blob and add a command squad to it. And traditional wisdom in the guard has been 20-man blobs are best. And the reason for this is because if you've got one order, it's better to put it on 20 guys than on 10. Unfortunately, that wisdom is no longer, well, wisdom. I think it's a bit of a trap. And unfortunately, I think that with the way 10th edition is going, our tactics need to evolve. We need to improvise, adapt, and overcome. The big issue with taking big blobs is that they just die too easily. I ran recon detachment. I ran big blobs. I took it to 5 tournament games. I went into the heart of the competitive meta. And I found that my blobs just died like piss. Without access to things like a Death Core Marshal for 5-up Feel No Pain, hell, without even a 6-up Feel No Pain from the old command squads, your infantry just can't stay the course. They just can't last the time. And 20 guardsmen die just as easily as 10 guardsmen. And if you take a big 20-man blob and you add a command squad to it, you're going to be spending close on 200 points. I mean, at time of recording, it's going to be 195 points to do that with the Krieg blob. It's going to be 185 points to do that with a Catachan blob or Acadian blob. Now that's main battle tank prices. And let's be real here for a moment. When you take a 20-man blob, you're not, and add a command squad to it, you're not actually getting that many more special weapons than if you just took a 10-man squad. If I take a 10-man squad of Cadians, or if I take a 20-man squad, I should say, I'm getting 1 extra plasma gun and 1 extra mountain gun. It's okay, but a lot of what I'm paying for is those extra bodies. It's the mass, the pure number of wounds. But if 10th edition is hyper lethal, if you've got 20-man blobs getting swept aside as an afterthought, like, seriously, guys, I had people barely rolling half of their attacks. People were wiping out 20-man bricks with like half of their units' attacks. They didn't even need to roll all of the dice. So if I'm paying for mass, if I'm paying for wound density, but I'm not getting the benefits of that because there's just so many dice being rolled with so many lethals and rerolls and everything, and sustained, then I'm not getting the main bonus of taking a 20-man squad. If 20 men die easily as 10 men, I shouldn't pay for 20. I might as well stick with 10. But then we get to the other part, which is 10 guardsmen without any support really don't do very much. I still think going down multiple 10-man squads is a viable route, just purely for I'm going to throw 10 guys forward to get onto an objective for a turn. Hopefully they hold it. I'm going to put 10 guys forward just to move block you and screen you. I think 10-man guard squads absolutely still work as just pure sacrificial speed bump bodies. But if you're someone like me who likes to take infantry that can actually achieve something, then 10-man squads on their own aren't going to do it. But personally, this is where I think the beauty of the veteran squad comes in. Because you can recreate those old advantages. You can have a smaller guard squad that comes in with loads of special weapons and can punch above its weight, whilst not having to spend the points on masses and masses of guardsmen. I also think, quick side note here, I quite like the idea of this veteran squad because it lowers the barrier of entry for newer players getting into guard. If you're someone that's looking at, well, I need to paint like 120 guys plus all the command squads, that's a lot of models. That might put you off getting into the guard in general. If you find out that you can have maybe 60 infantry running around, well, that feels a lot more achievable, a lot more attainable. But we're talking big picture at the moment. Let's get into some specifics. What are these veteran squads bringing? Well, let's use Acadian one, for example, but we'll go through all the different types. Acadian squad is going to turn up with a melter gun and a plasma gun in the main squad. And then in the Acadian command squad that you add to it, you're going to get another plasma gun from the special weapon guy, but you can replace the flag. You can replace the flag with another special weapon. So you can have another plasma gun in there or another melter gun. And then you've got the officer, which is also bringing a plasma pistol. So the total amount of special weapons that you're getting is 4 proper special weapons and a plasma pistol. Now, what does that remind you of? It reminds me of what Kazakin can get their hands on. Kazakin have a sergeant that comes with a plasma pistol, and they have 2 guys that can take melter guns and 2 guys that can take plasma guns. So you get to the exact same loadout as the Kazakin squad. Now, admittedly, your Kazakin squad is 110 points at time of recording, and this squad is going to be 130. They're pretty close to each other, though. And I think the way you want to look at this as is not, well, it's Kazakin or veterans. I think the way you look at this is it's Kazakin and veterans. Because if you're someone like me that is looking to try and get the most out of, let's say, a recon detachment or a combined arms detachment, well, with Scions being out of the picture for the time being, there's only 3 squads of Kazakin you can put in your list. And Deathcore Engineers aren't looking great either. Guard infantry choices left, right, and centre look to be struggling a bit. But if you can take all the Kazakin squads that you want, and then, after you've done that, back them up with some of these veteran squads, I think you're looking good. Because yes, you're going to be spending more points, but don't forget you are going to be getting more bodies, and you will be able to regrow guys into these squads, assuming there's any survivors. There may not be. But also, because the command squad is just going to be ordering their own unit, these guys are essentially running around on Illicit Skill 3+, because you can just take aim on them. And you can get a similar result using the Krieg guys as well, because your Kriegers are going to turn up with a plasma pistol and a power sword on the sergeant, and then they're going to have a plasma gun and a melter gun. And then when you go over to the command squad, you're going to get another plasma gun or melter gun, and you're going to get another 2 plasma pistols. So the end result is going to be 3 plasma pistols, 2 power swords, and a power fist. And you're also going to have, let's say, 2 plasma guns and a melter gun. It balances out to being about the same. You know, one's got a little bit more combat punch and it's got more plasma pistols. One has got a little bit less combat punch and has got more actual special weapons. But in terms of the volume, it comes out pretty equals. And so these veteran squads, I think when you look at it from a Krieg perspective, is very interesting, because Kriegers, when taken in 10-man squads, are only 65. They only jump up to 130 when you take them in 20s. And the discount with like going for Cadians is only really relevant when you go for 20-man blobs of Cadians. So if you're used to taking a 20-man blob of Kriegers and adding a command squad in, if you then go to this route where you're taking 10-man squads with the command squad attached, you're essentially on the same footing. Everything's been leveled. Everything's equals between you and the Cadians. And it really does come down to just preference. And if you've taken a casualty here and there, you'll be on +1 to hit with these goddamn Kriegers as well. So I think the Krieg ones are really interesting, because if one guy dies, either they get executed by like a commissar or something, or just a plasma pistol overheats and dies, then you really are starting to compete with Kazakin, because Kazakin can hit on 2s if they take aim, and these guys can hit on 3s with a bit of grim demeanor, or they can hit on 2s with grim demeanor. So it depends on if you give them the order. So I think the Krieg ones are really interesting just from a damage output point of view. But then we get to the Kachan ones. Kachan veteran squads are kind of thought-provoking. They titillate the mind because they've got scout and they've got assault. Because the Kachan command squad's got scout, Kachan's got scout, so everyone's got scout, everyone can scout together. And the Kachan command squad gives them assault. Now the Kachans themselves might only come with 2 flamers. Not ideal. But the command squad can pick up the slack, because your command squad guy gets a plasma pistol, and every person in the Katachan command squad can get a special weapon. So unlike in the Kriegers and in the Cadians, we have got some people who in the command squad aren't ideal. You don't really want the master box. You don't really want the medic, because like I said, probably no one around to be regrown, right? With the Katachan, it's like, okay, we're starting off with worse special weapons in our unit, but when it gets to the command squad itself, I've got Melter, I've got Plasma, I've got a grenade launcher, I could go for a heavy flamer in there, and I've got a plasma pistol. So the command, and a power fist. So the command squad is bringing 5 good weapons to the table, which really, when we said before you were looking at a plasma pistol and 4 special weapons on the Cadians, and you're looking at a plasma pistol, like 3 plasma pistols and 3 special weapons in the Kriegers, which is like 6. When you then bring along the Katachan command squad, you're like, oh, well, I'm getting 5. So all of these units are bringing 5 to 6 good special weapons, because I think the Heavy Flamer is a good one. It's got the AP, it's got the strength to be a good one, especially in the elite infantry meta that we're in. And then you're getting 2 flamers on top of it. It depends on the value you put on the flamers. But raw, number of special weapons, non-lasgun weapon toting blokes, technically the Katachans get 7. But like I said, it depends on how much value you put on those basic bitch flamers. I don't want to over-exaggerate. But wait, there's more. these squads not only can pack a punch, not only are basically running around on native ballistic skill 3+, or they can have a cheeky move if you think that's better, but also their footprint on the board is smaller. Now, even if you're playing on terrain-dense boards like UKTC and WTC, you are going to find it hard to hide these big platoons, especially if you're going in the other direction to this and you're thinking, well, if 60 to 80 infantry isn't enough, I've now got to go up to 100 to 120. You're definitely not going to be able to hide them all. And so any unit that isn't hidden will be seen by the enemy and will probably be obliterated. And so those extra bodies you're spending might die before they even get to do anything. Going down this more elite veteran route, you can hide your units. Make sure everything is out of line of sight, protecting them from if your opponent gets that first turn. And another way you can look at this is if you think of taking a 10-man squad and a command squad, and then your instinct is, well, I'll just make it a 20-man squad, because then I'm getting that big blob, right? You're increasing the price of the squad by 50%, because you're going from 130 points up to, well, essentially 190, 185, around that number, right? So you're increasing the size of the price of squad by 50%. But you're only getting 33% more special weapons. You're going down the Caden route, you're going from, what, 6 to 8. You're only getting 2. You're only increasing the amount of special weapons actually by 25%. So you're spending 50% more on the unit to only get a 25% increase on the number of good weapons in the squad. Because as we've established, the extra bodies, they don't matter. They're just going to die anyway. And there is a big but, and I have to go full disclosure here. This is all theory craft. I haven't tried this out yet on the field of battle. It looks good on paper. What we need to do now is try it out. And so you can expect a follow-up video from me on this, and I'll probably be touching on it in live streams as well, where I confirm or deny whether this ended up being a good idea. I confirm or deny this idea. Perhaps it will end up being really good. Perhaps we'll end up with a bunch of cheaper units that are just as sacrificial but can actually do some punch. Or maybe it just won't quite translate onto the tabletop. But it looks good. It seems to pass the vibe check. And I think this really could be the key to unlocking the Guard Infantry Corps. Not only for recon, but for a lot of detachments. Looking at it through the lens of recon, though, for every 10 men that I cut from this, for making my army more lean, more dynamic, I can get myself a Sentinel. I can get myself a heavy weapon team. And one of the things I've been struggling with recon is getting my big blobs and getting the support for the big blobs. But if the big blobs are just dying, let's go for smaller squads and get them the support they need. And not only will that increase the punch of recon with more las cannons from things like Sentinels, but it will also indirectly improve the durability. Because if we've got more punch, then that means we've got more dead enemies. And if we've got more dead enemies, there's less firepower coming back at us. And so indirectly, we can boost our durability as well. In summary, Guard Infantry struggling at the moment. Big blobs seem to be dying, and they're costing quite a lot of points. There are two ways to fix this. You throw more blobs at the wall and hope that you can brute force your way through it. Or you can get smart, and you can try taking smaller, more elite, more dynamic, more capable units. I think these veteran squads represent a nice middle ground between cost and effectiveness. I don't think they're perfect. I think that things like Kazakin are better than them, just because Kazakin can do what they do, but a little bit cheaper. But the thing about Kazakin is you can only take 3 squads of them. And if you're looking at an infantry-heavy detachment, such as Recon, well, you're going to need more than 3 squads of infantry. With Scions being out of the picture, we need to look elsewhere to getting more elite infantry. And these pseudo-elites seem to be able to fill that gap. But all of this is just like Trooper number 2102's opinion, man. Sorry, buddy. I'm throwing you under the bus in case it goes wrong. Let me know what the rest of you think down in the comment section below. Do you think this idea has got merit? Do you think this is a good way of getting battle line infantry to work? Or you think that the big blob is still the way to go, or that these guys just aren't the answer. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to go ahead and caress gently. Give it a little peck, like your sister. The like button. And of course, as always, subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.